Let's talk about RTI and how we're going to implement RTI into Newton Conover City Schools. First, let me introduce you to Brian Smith. Brian Smith is going to be Newton Conover City Schools' lead facilitator for RTI. Brian was currently serving as a kindergarten teacher at Lyle Creek Elementary, and he has a master's in elementary education from Gardner-Webb. He also has RTI experience from Hickory City Schools. We are so lucky to have Brian join our team so that he can lead us through the way with RTI. What does research say? 75% of children with reading disabilities in grade 3 who do not receive early intervention continue to have difficulties learning to read throughout life. And 35% of students identified with SLD drop out of high school. What this says to me is that we need to make sure that we are providing early interventions in order to make sure the students are successful. So what exactly is RTI? Response to intervention is a multi-tier approach to early identification and support of students with learning and behavior needs. Struggling students or learners are provided with interventions at increasing levels of intensity to accelerate their rate of learning. These services may be provided by a variety of personnel, including general education teachers, special educators, and specialists. Then the progress is going to be monitored. Progress is monitored slowly to assess both the learning rate and level of performance of individual students. Educational decisions about the intensity and duration of interventions are based on individual student response to instruction. RTI is designed for use when making decisions in both general education and special education, creating a well-integrated system of instruction and intervention guided by child outcome data. There are 4 components of the RTI process. We need to have highly qualified classroom teachers, which we already realize, and we have the best teachers ever. And then we need ongoing teacher assessments, and we have that in place. We are doing DIBELS, TRC, and various other ways of assessing our students regularly. Then it looks like we need to be looking at the 3 tiers, and we're going to talk about 3 tiers in just a second. And then the last component is just making sure that our parents are involved. So what is Tier 1? Tier 1 is your core instructional interventions. All students in Tier 1 receive high-quality, scientifically based instruction differentiated to meet their needs and are screened on a periodic basis to identify struggling learners who need additional support. The core is what you do every day. So most of your students should be able to function in your classroom with the interventions that you have in place. These would make up about 75 to 80% of your classroom students. And then you have Tier 2, targeted group interventions. In Tier 2, students not making adequate progress in the core curriculum are provided with increasingly intensive instruction that is matched to their needs on the basis of levels of performance and rates of progress. So then you start noticing there's a group of students that cannot function very well with what you already have in place. So you make up what you decide. You're going to figure out some other interventions for those students. Then you get to Tier 3, and this is your intensive interventions. At this level, students receive individualized intensive interventions that target the student's skilled deficiencies for the remediation of existing problems and to prevent or make the prevention of more severe problems. So this is where you really are pinpointing exactly what a student needs so that they can be successful. 2 weeks from now, Heather, Betsy, Brian, and I will be attending a training on RTI, and we will be able to give you even further information on what exactly we are going to put in place for this upcoming school year. Currently, we know these things are what is going to be expected. We want to, all of our staff, we want them to gain a true understanding of RTI. We want to be able to develop a plan of action for our elementary schools using RTI. We want to make sure that we train the teams in how to use RTI effectively. We, of course, are going to have to develop paperwork for RTI. And then we want to make sure that we create a plan of how to infuse what we already know. Currently, most of us have been involved with ICT groups or problem-based models, and we want to be able to take those processes and infuse them into the RTI process. So you can see we're going to take it slow, and we're going to definitely learn a whole lot more information. And when we get that information, we will be bringing it back to you.